Curious George Museum Mystery. It was a big day at the museum. A new dinosaur skeleton was going to be displayed. George was always a curious little monkey, and he was especially curious about dinosaurs. At 5 o'clock, the museum will be filled with dinosaur experts waiting to see the new skeleton on stage. Professor Weisman told George and the man with the yellow hat, "But I'm one bone short." "Isn't that one of the boxes we brought to you last week?" the man asked. "It should have been," the professor said, "but there were only 3 bones in this box. There were supposed to be 4. Are you sure you put all the bones in that box?" George remembered that their friend Mr. Quinn had been visiting and taking pictures. They could look at those photos to solve the mystery of the missing bone. He and his friend went home to look for the pictures. George found Mr. Quinn's photos of his visit to the city. There were 2 pictures of the man with the box. "Look, George, the box was too full to close at home, but it was closed tightly when we reached the museum," the man said. "That means there was less inside when we dropped it off. We must have lost the bone somewhere along the way. To find it, we should retrace our steps," the man told George. But George couldn't remember that exact path to the museum. Luckily, they had more pictures. George put them in a photo holder. "If we put the pictures in order, we can retrace our path and find that bone," the man exclaimed. George thought the first place they'd gone to Chef Spaghetti's restaurant for soup. They went to Spaghetti's and showed him the picture Mr. Quinn had taken. Looking at the photo closely, Spaghetti noticed a clue. "There's the box right next to your bag from the market." George hadn't noticed the bag. "The market bag means we must have gone to the market before we came here," the man said. He changed the order of the photos in George's holder so the picture from the market came before the picture from Spaghetti's. They set off to check the market for clues. "Remember, we almost lost all the bones here when you tripped," the man reminded George. But George, being a quick little monkey, had caught all 4 of them in the box. "Still 4 bones," the man with the yellow hat said. Now he and George looked closely at the other pictures. The man noticed that George had a noodle on his cheek in the next picture at the lake. "George, this means we had soup before we went to the park," he said. They thought they remembered their path now. They left home, went to the market, then went to Spaghetti's for soup, stopped at the park, and then delivered the box to the museum. The box was still bludgeoning in the picture from the park, so the lost bone had to be somewhere between the park and the museum. The pictures had to be in the right order, didn't they? But George noticed something else. George's friend had fallen into the lake at the park, but his clothes were dry in the picture at the museum. "That's right," his friend exclaimed. "We went home again for dry clothes." The lobby wasn't just the first step on their path, it was also the next to last step. They hurried back home to ask the doorman if he remembered anything about that day. "Sure, I remember. You left the box in the lobby while you changed. Then your friend took this picture as you left in the dry clothes," he told them. George noticed something else in the picture. What was that white blur under the chair with the doorman's dog? George went to find Hundley. When he found Hundley, he also found the bone. They had the missing bone, but it was almost 5 o'clock. George and his friend ran back to the museum and put the bone in its place just in time. "Let's go," the man whispered, but his pants were caught in an Ankylosaurus mouth. the curtains opened and the audience got an even bigger surprise than they expected. George had solved the mystery and saved Dr. Weissman's big reveal at the museum. Plus, he had a new photo to add to his collection. The end.